Chapter 332 Xiao, I'm feeling a little cold, classy and cold, with an indescribably charming, yet evil demeanor. Her captivating splendor didn't seem to be much inferior to Wang Donga and Wang Hua. Beibei's pupil shrank slightly, and a tormented look flashed across his eyes. However, he still seemed very determined. He faced Tanya directly and didn't avoid her. She was also staring back at him, and her gaze seemed ghastly. A dim dark blue streak of gas started revolving around her body. It seemed like she could erupt at any time. She only stopped when she was 3 meters away from Beibei. She looked at him coldly and didn't utter a word. However, there was very solemn aura on the stage. Zhang Zan's emotions hadn't subsided yet. Beibei's 5th and 6th soul skills had destroyed 2 evil soul masters. Regarding this refined-looking young man in front of him, Zhang Zan felt that he was very pleasant. He hoped that Beibei wouldn't be destroyed under the hands of the Holy Ghost Sect. However, he was the referee, and even a member of the Sun Moon Empire. How could he express his thoughts? As he looked at both parties, Zhang Zan said, "Both parties, please report your names." His voice was evidently slower than the previous 2 times. He was thinking to himself, "Kid, this is the most that I can do to help you. I hope that you can take this short period of time to restore yourself a little." From Beibei's soul power undulations, he could tell that Beibei couldn't last a 3rd round. In addition, the aura from Tanya was markedly stronger than the 2 previous evil soul masters. From where she was seated in the waiting area, she should be one of the best in this evil soul master sect. Tang Sect, Beibei. Beibei said these 4 simple words, and emphasized the words Tang Sect. Tanya seemed to be dazed for a moment, and a lost look flashed across her eyes. However, she soon regained her cold attitude and said, "Holy Ghost Church, Tanya." Beibei took in a deep breath and nodded at her. There was a tormented look on his face. Before the unbreakable Douluo could speak, he immediately turned around and walked towards his half of the stage. He was very determined. Tanya didn't seem to sense anything, and also turned around before walking towards her own half of the stage. She seemed very graceful as she walked. It was as if she were drifting along. Her body didn't move much. Humans were always inclined towards beauty. Tanya's appearance quieted down the spectators who were fearful and disgusted by the Holy Ghost Sect. There were even some who were doubtful. Can such a pretty lady be an evil soul master? Of course, beauty didn't decide a soul master's abilities. Tanya slowly walked towards her side of the stage before turning around. On the other side, Beibei was already prepared. He had also put his milk bottle away. This was already the 3rd individual elimination round. The 3rd round was very important, especially for the team that had won the first 2 rounds. As long as they won the 3rd round, Beibei had the right to request that they immediately move on to the team round. The Tang Sect outnumbered the Holy Ghost Sect by 2 people. If Beibei could win this round, the Tang Sect's advantage would be quite great. However, could the Tang Sect really win? After fighting 2 consecutive rounds, Beibei's depletion could be seen in his expression. It was quite unlikely that he could defeat Tanya right now, who was also likely the team leader of the Holy Ghost Sect. The unbreakable Douluo looked at both parties. He knew that he couldn't delay any further. He sighed in his heart and lifted his right hand up high. Begin. After his voice sounded, Beibei was the one who made the first move. He exerted his strength and instantly burst forward. He didn't seem slower than when he had faced Wang Xiao earlier. In the waiting area, the rest of Shrek's 7 monsters were witnessing the fight nervously. Shu Sanchi couldn't help but hold Zhang Nanen's hand tightly, and Zhang Nanen didn't blame him for exploiting this opportunity to hold onto her hand right now. They were the earliest 2 of Shrek's 7 monsters to know Beibei and Tanya. They had watched how Beibei and Tanya grew up as a couple. They had witnessed how tormented Beibei was after Tanya disappeared. At this moment, these 2 lovers had been reunited. However, they were reunited as opponents. Xiao, do you not remember anything? Do you know how much Beibei has sacrificed for you all these years? Zhang Nanen muttered to herself. Her eyes started to turn red. Shu Sanchi was as uninhibited as usual, and said, "We must believe Beibei. He'll be able to wake her up. He will definitely be able to." Wang Donga and Xiao said at almost the same time. Hikaiju also clenched his fists as he watched them anxiously. Only Huo Yua seemed calmer. His breathing was very regular, and he placed his hands on the handles of his wheelchair. He seemed to be pondering something. Tanya didn't rush forward even though Beibei had burst straight towards her. Her expression was very cold. She moved step by step toward Beibei. She wasn't quick. However, the dark blue light that shone from her body became stronger and stronger with every step she took. The dark blue light accentuated her ravishing looks. She had the aura of an influential queen. The 2 of them were getting closer and closer to each other. Beneath Tanya's feet, her soul rings also finally shone. 2 yellow, 2 purple and 3 black soul rings. In the waiting area, Zhang Nanen couldn't help but exclaim, "7." A few others who were familiar with Tanya were also stunned. Huo Yua also revealed a shocked look in his eyes. 7 soul rings, a 7-ring soul sage. Initially, Tanya's cultivation was inferior to Beibei, Shu Sanchi and even Zhang Nanen. This was also why she had left Shrek Academy. She knew that she couldn't enter the inner courtyard. However, 7 soul rings lit up on her body right now. In a few years, she had already become a 7-ring soul sage. Were all evil soul masters so scary? Her 3rd soul ring lit up first. Tanya lifted up her right hand and mimicked a gentle smacking action towards Beibei. A ball of dark blue light ball shot out and flew towards Beibei. The ball quickly expanded as it flew out, turning into a dark blue net. Beibei recognized this soul skill. Huo Yua also knew it very clearly. This was the 3rd soul skill that Beibei had helped Tanya obtain when Huo Yua first met them. Spiderweb binding. It was obtained from a 1,000-year man-faced devil spider. However, the spiderweb binding that Tanya used now was more than 10 meters in diameter. It covered a huge surface area, and Beibei felt that he couldn't dodge it as it moved towards him. Not only this, but Tanya's 1st soul ring also lit up. Countless vines surged out from her back. The dark blue vines were very shiny and transparent, exuding a deep sapphire glow. As the glow spread, it was about to cover Beibei entirely. Even though Tanya had become an evil soul master, she didn't change her cultivation direction. She was still a control-type soul master. Beibei stopped running forward. Following this, bluish-purple lightning surfaced around him. A huge bluish-purple lightning web opened up towards Tanya's spiderweb binding. It was as big as the spiderweb binding. 2 huge webs clashed in the air. The spiderweb suddenly stopped, and the lightning surrounded it. Xiao, you must try to open up your spiderweb when you use it. After that, you must judge beforehand. It's best to unleash it when your opponent is coming close to you at high speed, or if he's already in the air and can't change directions easily. You see, your spiderweb is very sticky. Also, the vines converted from your blue silver grass will become tougher as your abilities improve. When that happens, your enemy will find it very difficult to cut the blue silver grass. He might even cause the spiderweb to close up as he attacks it, and be instantly restrained. Will my opponent be able to resist my spiderweb binding? Of course. Use it on me. Hey, I see what you are doing. It sounds fun. One is a lightning web and one is a spider web. It's quite interesting when we combine them together. Should we give it a name? Hee. Let's call it the love web. There are no holes in the love web. I can trap you. Hee. Let's call it the love web then. Love web. Tanya seemed to be in a daze. There was a confused look in her eyes. Beibei exploited this opportunity to detour around the love web and continue towards her. Tanya's confusion only lasted for a second. She quickly regained her cold mindset, and several vines formed by the blue silver grass quickly reached out towards Beibei. Not only this, but she also lifted her right hand, and her 4th soul ring shone. Beibei was too familiar with Tanya. When he saw her lifting her right hand, he leapt up quickly. As he leapt away, blue silver grass that resembled a patch of long spears poked out. It was like there was a forest of spears beneath him. They released a dense, cold glow. If Beibei had been 1 step slower, he would have clashed with this patch of blue silver grass. This was Tanya's 4th soul skill, blue silver prison. Beibei leapt towards Tanya. In the air, he extended his hands and swiped towards Tanya with his lightning dragon's claws. 2 dark blue vines appeared and whipped at the lightning dragon's claws. They managed to crush the claws just like that. A huge patch of vines instantly rose and blocked Beibei's path. Beibei unleashed his 3rd soul skill, thunderous fury, and the lightning around him grew stronger and stronger. He clasped his palms in front of his chest and released a sonorous dragon roar. Suddenly, the lightning gathered to form a huge dragon head that charged towards the patch of blue silver grass. A huge boom echoed in the air. The vines of blue silver grass scattered as they were struck by Beibei's 4th soul skill, thunderous dragon head. However, they weren't completely crushed from the explosion even though the thunderous dragon head was very powerful. They were only scattered. At this point, Bei Bei didn't seem to care anymore. As he landed, he smacked his palm down and continued to burst forward in the air. He opened his arms wide, as if he were trying to embrace Tanya. There was a cold look on Tanya's face. She raised her right hand to her side, palm facing inwards, fingers together and pointing at him. A long spear exuding a bright blue light appeared on her fingertips. When this spear appeared, the scattered vines changed into shadows and fused with it. Tanya also turned to transparent, dark blue at this moment. This was... Zhang Zan felt his hair stand on end. It was as if his soul had been penetrated. This was Tanya's fifth soul skill. It brought about a sense of oppression, and wasn't inferior to Bei Bei's Dragon Emperor demonic rupture. However, Bei Bei seemed to have already expended his soul power. He wasn't able to unleash the powers of his radiant holy dragon. His fifth and sixth soul rings were also inactive. There was a determined look on Bei Bei's face. As he faced Tanya's spear, there was a sense of desolation as he smiled. Xiao, I miss you so much, he said softly. At this moment, he seemed to be completely immersed in his own feelings. The lightning above his claws had disappeared. His eyes were only filled with a gentle look. These 7 simple words were like 7 huge hammers pounding on Tanya's soul. She didn't throw her spear out immediately after it formed. Bei Bei was extremely fast. He was about to reach her. There was a puff of impact, and a bloody light surfaced. Bei Bei didn't dodge, and didn't try to attack either. He let the spear stab through his chest and come out his back. Everyone from the Tang Sect was shocked by this. Even Xiao was unable to maintain his cool anymore. Something seemed to be stuck in his throat as he grabbed onto his wheelchair with his right hand. The other 5 Shrek 7 monsters even stood up. Ellisthenia, you lied to me. Xiao's voice was trembling. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Before today's match, Bei Bei had quietly come to find Xiao. He didn't even let Wang Dong listen to his private conversation. Little Junior, we'll arrange our strategy in this way. Do you have any objections? Ellisthenia, I have no objections. What do we do with teacher Xiao? If she appears in the first few rounds, will we really make a move against her? Little Junior, don't worry. I know what to do. Even if the Evil Soul Masters abducted her, no one understands her better than me. Remember when she attacked me that day? It was just for show. She did it as a show for the rest of the Evil Soul Masters. In fact, she had already recognized me then. She told me about her condition using a sign that only the 2 of us knew. She was threatened by those Evil Soul Masters, and thus was unable to return then. But we'll coordinate with each other in the tournament. Don't worry. That's great. But how did the Holy Ghost Church threaten teacher Xiao? We must ensure that she returns safely. You don't have to worry about that. I have a plan in mind. Don't forget, I'm able to turn into the Radiant Holy Dragon. When have you ever seen me doing something I'm not confident in? Xiao is my greatest love. No matter what, I must help her recover. This is also something that only I can do. Don't worry, and focus on competing. That's great. It'll be great if teacher Xiao can return. Everything that he had said was completely in contrast with what was happening. Xiao could keep his cool earlier because Bei Bei had informed him of his plan. In addition, he had always been a composed person. After he saw Bei Bei defeating 2 strong opponents, his confidence grew even further. However, he knew that he had been lied to when Bei Bei smiled and allowed himself to be stabbed by the long spear. Ellisthenia was lying. He didn't communicate with teacher Xiao at all. The attack that he suffered that day was also not a message that teacher Xiao left for him. He doesn't have the ability to bring her back. Ellisthenia. The long spear had stabbed through Bei Bei's chest and exited out his back. However, he continued to move forward toward Tanya. He closed his open arms and tightly embraced her. Fresh blood spurted out from his chest and scattered on Tanya. Her cold aura seemed to have suffered a blow, and she seemed to warm up a little. She was stunned. When her blue silver tyrant spear stabbed Bei Bei, she felt as if her own chest had been stabbed. An indescribable pain appeared in her chest. She didn't unleash the life-devouring ability of her blue silver tyrant spear. She stood there in a daze without moving. It was as if she had been immobilized. The lost look in her eyes also turned into a tremendous struggle. Xiao, it's so good to hug you again. It feels really good. Bei Bei didn't even seem to feel the pain in his chest. He hugged Tanya tightly, and his face was filled with bliss. It was just that it was also extremely pale right now. Xiao, do you know, I've really missed you. After I lost you, I realized how important you were to me. You have become an indispensable part of my life. When I saw you that day, my soul was finally awoken. I've waited for today for too long. I don't know if you can remember me, or whether you'll recover. However, it's enough that I can hug you. Wake up, Xiao. Let me summon you with my life. I've already established the Tang Sect for you. Wake up, will you? Golden light surfaced on Bei Bei's body once again. However, it appeared as a dim golden fog this time. In the resting area, the scorpion tiger Douluo Zhangpeng had already rushed to the arena. His expression was changing wildly as he stared at the stage. Evidently, he didn't know about Bei Bei and Tanya's relationship. After Tanya joined the Holy Ghost Church, her talent was highly regarded. Over these past few years, she had been cultivating in secret. Her improvement was the greatest of all the younger soul masters. It was why she was able to represent the Holy Ghost Church as their team leader for this tournament. It seemed like Tanya should have had the upper hand. However, why didn't she destroy Bei Bei with her blue silver tyrant spear and swallow his life energy? Her cultivation was bound to increase greatly if she swallowed the life energy of a soul emperor. Not only would her soul power not be depleted, but she might even become stronger than she was at her peak. Why was she standing there without moving? Fresh blood was already flowing from the edges of Bei Bei's lips. His right chest and lung had been stabbed. The cold aura that the blue silver tyrant spear let out was also filled with evil. As he sensed that Tanya was in a daze, Bei Bei slowly shut his eyes and muttered, "Is it still not working? Don't worry, Xiao. Let it be like this then. To die in your arms is also happiness for me. It's better than suffering from the torment of missing you every day." As he spoke, he leaned his head on Tanya's shoulder. His signature, refined smile returned to his face. In the resting area, Janla unclenched her fists when she saw this. Her fingernails were already piercing through her palm. Bei Bei, why are you so foolish? Is she so good that it's worth doing this? Fool, you are really a fool. Wang Qiu was also stunned when she saw this. At this moment, the scene of Xiao standing by the lakeside of the ice fire Yin Yang well and swallowing the water of the blazing sunspring to melt the origin energy of ultimate ice in his body surfaced in her mind. Is this love? Sacrificing your life for someone you love? Xiao, I'm a little cold. Make your move. Bei Bei used his remaining energy to hug Tanya tightly. At this moment, the rest of Shrek's 7 monsters were completely shocked. There were protective barriers in front of them. They couldn't charge up. They didn't even have a chance to stop Bei Bei, but they all saw the smile on Bei Bei's face. Teacher Xiao, wake up. Although Xiao knew Tanya couldn't hear his call, he still couldn't help but shout. Tears were already streaming down his face. Bei. Tanya muttered these few words. Bei Bei's body shuddered. He suddenly opened his eyes and revealed a surprised look on his face. Bei. Tanya lowered her head as she reminisced. She looked at Bei Bei, who was lying on her shoulder now. Xiao, my Xiao, are you back? Bei Bei's voice had become weak. Although it hadn't been long, the huge injury on his chest had caused him to lose too much blood. Although he couldn't hear them, Xiao could see Bei Bei's expression and Tanya's movement. His vertical eye opened, and a streak of purplish gold light shot out. It struck the protective barriers and caused a slit to open. We can see defeat. Quickly, save him. He screamed at Zhang Zan. Zhang Zan only woke up at this point. He quickly rushed towards Tanya and Bei Bei. He lifted his hands and announced the end of the fight. The protective barriers were deactivated, and everyone from the Tang Sect rushed up to the stage towards Bei Bei and Tanya. Tanya was looking at Bei Bei with expressionless eyes, but she was suddenly filled with torment. The blue silver tyrant spear disappeared. Just as the spear disappeared, Wang Donga was the first to leap towards Bei Bei. As she mimicked the pressing action, bright golden flames adhered to his huge wounds and forcefully sealed them. He K2 also stuffed a cigarette into Bei Bei's mouth and shouted, "Quickly, suck." As he spoke, his sixth soul ring disappeared. It was Hikadu's sixth soul skill, the Resurrection Silver Cigar. His sixth soul skill had great healing powers. His Resurrection Silver Cigar was mainly used on external injuries, and its effect was very strong. However, it didn't have any effect on internal injuries. Bei sucked with force, and instantly felt a warm flow down his throat. His body suddenly felt very warm. The blood that was spurting from his chest also stopped temporarily. Tanya squatted there and looked at Bei. Suddenly, she stood up and grabbed her head with her hands. She looked into the sky and screamed in anguish. Her piercing scream was very penetrating. An intense dark blue light surged out towards her surroundings. Shu Sanchi's body flashed, and he blocked Tang Ya's light, using his shield to protect everyone from the Tang Sect. When everyone from the Tang Sect climbed onto the stage, the Scorpion Tiger Douluo from the Holy Ghost Sect leapt onto the stage too. Tang Ya's importance to the Holy Ghost Church wasn't inferior to Bei and Shu Sanchi's importance to Shrek Academy. He could tell that something was wrong with Tanya, and thus had hurried up to the stage immediately. Holy lady, what's wrong? Jiang Kang asked as he grabbed Tang Ya's shoulders. Tanya suddenly turned around, and her eyes turned dark blue. Countless vines surged out and slapped Jiang Kang. Jiang Kang was also shocked when he saw her tormented look. However, he couldn't be controlled by Tanya, given his cultivation. What were evil soul masters most afraid of? They weren't afraid of their opponent's abilities, but instead of going berserk during their own cultivation, an ordinary soul master could still be saved, even if he went berserk. However, evil soul masters were too domineering. Once there were problems, they were bound to die. Throughout the course of history, many soul masters had gone berserk as they tried to break through a difficult barrier, leading to their deaths. Some of them even blew apart. Seeing that things weren't going too well, Jiang Kang immediately unleashed his strong aura and forced the blue silver grass away from him. He took a step forward, made a grabbing action, and his immense soul power trapped Tanya. At the same time, he smacked Tanya's forehead with his palm. Tanya stopped screaming and collapsed softly to the ground. The mysterious lady from the Holy Ghost Sect suddenly appeared on stage and grabbed Tanya as she collapsed. She whispered something to Jiang Kang. Jiang Kang looked grim, but the mysterious lady jumped off the stage with Tanya. She didn't bring Tanya into the waiting area either, but immediately brought her out to the resting area. Huo Yuao held onto Xiao, who wanted to save Tanya. Shu Sanchi also grabbed hold of Jiang Nanan and didn't let her rush over. Jiang Kang was an evil soul master and a transcendent Douluo. He was able to match up to Shrek Academy's soul engineering department scene, the martial god Douluo Shenliner. How were the two of them going to deal with him? Bei sucked in a few breaths of the cigar Hikaru gave him, and the wound on his chest started to heal. Although his body had been pierced by the blue silver tyrant spear, this external injury was the greatest injury he had sustained. After all, Tanya didn't fully unleash the power of the blue silver tyrant spear and invade his body with her evil energy. At this point, Bei was already unconscious. His breathing was also a little weak. However, he had still managed to preserve his life. With the protection of Wang Dong's power of light and Hikaru's cigar, his life wasn't in danger. Zhang Zan stepped in front of Jiang Kang and asked, "Who are you? Don't you know that the elders of the competing teams aren't allowed onto the stage?" Jiang Kang glared at him coldly. Suddenly, Zhang Zan felt nauseous and retreated 2 steps subconsciously. This person is very strong. Just the aura from the look in his eyes makes me feel he is irresistible. Titled Douluo. He must be a titled Douluo. He might even be a transcendent Douluo. Just as Zhang Zan was horrified, Jiang Kang said, "Something seems to have happened to my competing member. She can't compete anymore. We'll concede defeat in the 4th round. Continue." As he spoke, he turned around and seemed to teleport off the stage. Everyone from the Tang Sect also carried Bei off the stage. Only Huo Yuao was left behind. Huo Yuao looked at the remaining 4 members of the Holy Ghost Sect with a cold look in his eyes. He lifted his right hand and hooked his finger at them. "Referee, we've already won 3 individual elimination rounds. We've decided to forfeit the rest of the individual elimination round and request to enter the team round immediately." Zhang Zan nodded and walked to the Holy Ghost Sect side. He said a few sentences to them in the waiting area. The 4 remaining members of the Holy Ghost Sect stood up at the same time. A cold intent spread towards the stage and Huo Yuao ignored them and said, "Referee, we should be able to start after a short rest." Zhang Zan nodded. As the remaining competing members from both teams had yet to compete, he immediately announced that the team round would commence after 15 minutes, and would decide the outcome of this semi-final match. Huo Yuao pushed his wheelchair back to his team's waiting area. Shu Sanchi jumped up onto the stage to help him off. Wang Dongga was still helping Bei with his injury. His cigar was quite effective. The wound on Bei's chest was healing very quickly. Huo Yuao couldn't help but give Hikaru a thumbs up. "Second senior, it's all to your credit." Hikaru smiled widely and said, "It's only right. My cigar can only heal external injuries, and so is very suitable for eldest senior. He's lost too much blood, but should recover if he nourishes his body. When we return, I'll give him 2 more cigars." Shu Sanchi laughed bitterly. Bei has suffered a lot in this tournament. It's his 2nd time being so seriously hurt. He was even hurt by Xiao both times. Don't tell me she has really forgotten him. Huo Yuao shook his head and gently said, "No, teacher Xiao must have been woken up by eldest senior. At least a part of her memories should have been jolted. Otherwise, he would have been dead by now. Second senior, quickly restore your soul power. We'll go up later and finish them off." Even though Bei was seriously injured now, the Tang Sect is still at an advantage. Bei got rid of 2 people by sacrificing himself. He even caused Tanya to lose her ability to compete further. In the team round, we'll be outnumbering them 6-4. We have a very obvious advantage. Jiang Nanan came to Huo Yuao's side, and she was very anxious. "Are you saying that Xiao has been jolted awake? If that's the case, we should save her." Huo Yuao laughed bitterly. "It's no use. 4th senior, don't be rash. The Scorpion Tiger Douluo is an evil soul master, and also a transcendent Douluo. Furthermore, this is the Sun Moon Empire's territory. There are many Holy Ghost Sect members around. We've no ability to save her now. We must wait for the opportunity." Jiang Nanan wanted to say something, but she was dragged away by Shu Sanchi. Shu Sanchi grabbed onto Jiang Nanan's shoulder and said, "Nanan, calm down. We still have the team round later. Can you compete if you remain like this? Let's defeat our opponents first. We are doing our best to get Xiao back." Jiang Nanan nodded as she saw his bright eyes. Shu Sanchi hugged her and said sincerely, "I've always been very envious of Bei and Tanya. However, I feel that we are more blissful than them. No matter what your feelings are for me, you've always been by my side, and you can still recognize me. Nanan, I'll treasure you. Okay." Shu Sanchi hugged her, but she didn't struggle after the sad encounter between Bei and Tanya. She hugged him at the waist, and her tears flowed again. She muttered, "If I become like Xiao one day, I want you to personally kill me. I'd rather die in your arms than wake up seeing you collapsed beside me." Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.